kids, Mr. Fly here, hope you're well. Had a very exciting day today because I've been out riding another massive BMW. Now, a few months back I did a review on the R1200 RT, the big full dress tourer, and when I did that review I got an awful lot of comments and requests back saying could I ride the massive 1.6 litre K1600 GT and do a bit of a comparison. So I'm glad to say today I've been out on that bike and you join me now just as I leave the dealer. Okay, now I suggest this isn't the bike to buy if you want to commute and do a lot of town work, but let's go through the town here and see how she does. Just like the big RT that I rode a few months back, it's much more agile than it deserves to be as you go around the bends. And it's absolutely planted on the road, I guess just because of its hulk and its momentum. If you are going to be doing big miles, then what a way to do it. So let's get the practicalities out of the way before we explore some of the details of the bike. Riding position, super comfortable of course, as you'd expect. Your hands are quite wide and far back, so very comfortable, a bit like sitting on an armchair. Feels quite wide, the bike, big old comfy padded seat. And it is just an effortless ride. I suppose the riding position is a little bit more sporty than I expected. My knees are less than 90 degrees, but it feels like the pegs are relatively high. And the good news for me is that it comes with various seat heights. I think this has the standard seat on it at its low setting, but I can get my feet on the deck okay. I'm on the balls of the feet, not flat-footed, so if I were to buy one of these I'd definitely go for the low seat so I could get my feet firmly on the ground, because I wouldn't want to have a pillion on here and not feel completely stable, for obvious reasons. Well, this bike has every conceivable luxury, included of course heated grips, which I've got on at the moment, nice and toasty, and a heated seat, which is lovely. It's only about 4 degrees out at the moment, so this makes for very comfortable riding. This particular machine is in the SE spec, so it comes with all sorts of extras. It's got the quick shifter, or gear assist pro as BMW call it. It's got the full radio kit. You name it, it's got it basically. Got the old electrically adjustable windscreen, which I'll put into its upper position. I just love that. Who doesn't like a gadget? There you go, that's fully up and I'm actually looking through the screen, which is a little bit actually distracting, to be honest. So I think I'll pop that down again. The gearbox actually very easy and light to use, has a very satisfying clunk. I wouldn't describe it as agricultural, because it's not that, but you definitely know that you've got it in gear. Hello sir. This engine is just so turbine smooth. What I want to do if I can is find some roads that I can hustle it along a bit, and then also do a bit of motorway work, because of course as the consummate tourer this sort of bike is going to spend a lot of its time doing big miles on motorways, so that's really its habitat. But as is so often the case on these bike reviews, I find myself behind white van man. Well, I'm talking about novel features on this 2017 model for the first time. It's actually got a reverse gear as well. Which I've certainly never ridden a bike with a reverse gear. It's activated by this little button here marked R. Basically you put the bike into neutral, select that, it says R on the display, and then on the starter motor it wheels the bike backwards. Very useful, I guess, if you're in a tight spot. It's also got the hill start function on this, so that if you're in a spot where you have to stop on a hill, it will hold itself on the brake and then release the brake when you pull away. Just again, practical things for a bike of this size. The suspension is of course all electronic, and again you can set that to whether you want it you know, soft or hard, and a few points in between. It is lovely ride quality. I'm just gliding over the bumps. And And it goes without saying it's got, you know, all the electronics you want, such as ABS, traction control, riding modes and so on. I'll spare you all the details. Right, what I need to do is get past this van and just wind her up a little bit. It's my chance. Thank you, cyclists. The Quick Shift Pro works a real treat on here. It's much smoother than on my GS on the Boxer engine. They've certainly done a nice job of implementing that. Let's just try a downshift as well. Yeah, perfect. And the engine has a beautiful note. It's not obnoxiously loud or anything like that. You just hear it whining along like a turbine under you. Just going to check the brakes. Oh yeah, pretty amazing brakes actually, given the weight of this. Feels like it could stop on a dime. So I'll lose a white van to pick up a truck. Great. Nothing behind. That is quite an engine. What I'd like to do is find somewhere to stop and show you around this beautiful machine. But what I don't want to do particularly is do it on gravel. I want to be absolutely sure wherever I put this bike I can get it back out again. As you'd expect, weather protection on this thing is absolutely beautiful. This huge barn door of a screen. I'm in completely still air here at this speed and I'm just doing 55, 60, although it might look like I'm doing 30. It's one of these bikes that just glides along and I'm completely in a bubble of calm. What an amazing bit of kit. As far as competitors are concerned, I'm tempted to say it's sort of in a class of its own. I don't know of any other 1.6 litre Taurus. I guess it competes a bit with BMW's own RT, which of course has the 1200cc engine, and even things like the Honda Goldwing, I suppose, which are massive comfortable Taurus in a similar vein. But other than that, it is a little bit in a class of its own, I would argue. Right, where am I going here? Don't honestly know. Yeah, really creamy acceleration. It doesn't give you a massive slap on the back like a sports bike would, but it's just got endless waves of torque. It feels like it would just go on forever. Mirrors work really well. They seem a long way away attached on that massive fairing, so they work very well. Okay, is this a possible place to stop and do a little look around? How sensible is this? Yeah, why not? Stick her over here on this bit of hard surface. Radio's on. Kill that. And off. And the screen goes down like a hovercraft at the end of its flight. Fantastic. Okay, let's have a look at this mean machine then. Here she is, the K1600GT. Okay, let's get my other camera on the go then and give you a proper look round and talk through the specs of this beast. Okay, let's go to iPhone view. There we go. Hopefully that's a bit of a better view for the walk round. So here we are then, the Big Daddy full dress tourer of the BMW range. If you like, the sort of ultimate in technology, performance, comfort. Incredible machine. It's got 160 horsepower, and that 1,649 horsepower, cc machine is so almost 1.7 litres has a whopping 175 newton meters of torque. Now, to put that into perspective, my GS has 125 newton meters of torque, and that's regarded as a very torquey machine. So this thing just feels like it's got power everywhere in the rev range. As I mentioned, weight-wise, it's a heavy old beast, of course. Its wet weight is 334 kilograms, so, you know, over a third of a ton when she's full. But on the move, doesn't feel like that, of course. Seat height is very variable, actually. The low seat starts at 780 millimeters, and if you're a big fella, then you can have the normal height set on its highest setting, 830 millimeters. 26.5 litre fuel tank, so pretty massive fuel tank for a great range. It's got adaptive xenon headlights. It's got ABS Pro as standard. It's got dynamic ESA as standard. So it's doing that, constantly adjusting the damper settings thing. And there are all sorts of options on this, including things like intelligent emergency call, where it's got an SOS button you press if you ever crash or you drop it. It's got the reverse assistant that I talked about, central locking, shift assist pro, just everything, you name it, it's got it. If you want the basic bike, the GT, £17,205 that'll cost you, but nobody buys a basic BMW, do they? They always stick options on it, so I think you're going to be making a hole out of 20 grand if you want one of these bikes spec'd up. Alright, let's just have a little bit of a closer look at some of the features on the bike then. Brakes, BMW brakes, perfectly adequate. They look a bit well, look a bit wimpy on the front compared to a sports bike, but they do stop the bike absolutely fine. The suspension under there, there's those adaptive lights. Then the suspension under there is the what BMW call the duo lever front suspension, so it doesn't dive when you brake, which is nice. Here's that big old screen that's electrically adjustable, and those xenon headlights. And then that's that amazing 6-cylinder engine. It's got this rather natty 6 written on the side, so you don't forget it. Of course, that makes for quite a wide front end. Massive pipes with 6 holes, which we like. Pretty groovy looking lights on the back. All sorts of buttonage down here to control things like the radio, which I won't go into. I mean, I'm just scratching the surface on this review because there's so many features and functions on here. Do love this display. Maybe we'll talk more about that later. And on this handlebar, we've got all the usual stuff. We've got cruise control, which is nice that it's on the left. This is your adjustment for the screen. The various menus that you go through. This is the reverse selection. These are your driving lights. On the other side is where you select riding mode, start, stop, etc. Okay, that's enough chat. Let's just jump back on, find the motorway, see what she's like in her natural habitat. Okay, so getting her off the side stand. Oh, there's a bit of a heft. And then this one has got the keyless ignition, so we bring her alive. And a very graceful sweep of the clocks. For some reason the radio always comes on automatically, so I'll turn that off. Because I don't really do radios on bikes, I have to say. And then make sure we're in neutral, which we're not. There we go. How eager is that? Actually, let's just have a little closer look at this display here. Super clear TFT display, I guess it is. And all sorts of stuff in there. You can click through the menus in the usual way. And there's so many things here that you can actually change using the whiz wheel to amend them. But again, I haven't really got time on this review to go through everything there. But amazing. There's the that's changing the heated grips. Seat heating, which I've got on, very nice. We'll just leave that as it is, and then come back out. Okay, right, let's get this show on the road. Let's go and find some motorway. Oh, a little bit of blue sky. What a treat on one of these reviews. Love that gearbox, and the quick shifter is so good. Let's come down. Amazing. I've heard people ask, why do you need a quick shifter on if a bike's not a sports bike, if you're not on track, but it just makes the whole riding experience so much more leisurely, and therefore I think it makes great sense on a full dress tourer like this. Just adds that whole sense of comfort and luxury. It's amazing. You really can throw this bike around if you want to. Just much more so than it deserves to be. And just at every point in the rev range and in every gear, it just feels like it wants to pull. Even changing down into first, which is not recommended with these quick shifters, it works okay. Right, and at the stop here, I'm on a slight incline here. My right foot is flat-footed, my left foot I'm on the ball of my foot, and it feels stable. The weight's kept fairly low, so I don't feel like it wants to drop. It's not even, doesn't even feel like it wants to fall as much as say the Triumph Trophy did, which is you know, physically a much smaller bike, although still quite large. Right, little blast up the motorway and see what difference this screen makes at the various settings. Nothing behind. Right, top gear. And with the screen in this position, I'm feeling a little bit of wind hitting the top of my head. Let's go for the adjuster. Right, now that's wild. Now, as soon as that's gone up in the full barn door position, I'm now feeling a weird sort of suction effect and I'm being dragged towards it slightly. That's odd. It's not a problem. I mean, if now I'm aware of it, you'd brace yourself for it, but as I put that up, I could definitely feel a sort of a vacuum effect. I imagine it's swirling over my back and pushing me forward. Really weird. I've never noticed that before. But I am in calm here. I could ride without my visor down. In fact, let's try that. There you go. That's visor open at 70 miles an hour. And you know, I can breathe and speak and it's absolutely fine. But anyway, I'm not that keen on looking through the glass, so I'm going to pop it down again to about let's see if I can get an optimal. There we go. That's right in my eye line, but the wind is now being thrown over me rather than me having my head blasted. So I'm just going to wait for it to be a bit clearer behind and then I'll overtake this traffic. We're all good. So I'm feeling a little bit of turbulence on my helmet. It might be due to my helmet. I'm not sure. I don't know what aftermarket screens are available for these, if any, but it might benefit from a little spoiler on the top just to keep the air clean coming off the top. But generally speaking, as you'd expect, I'm in a little bubble of calm behind this screen. And even though we're doing 70 miles an hour or thereabouts, the engine is just ticking over at less than 4,000 RPM and feels completely and utterly effortless. This has got to be the consummate cross-continental tourer. Heated seat is lovely, but if I were to go for one of these, I would definitely spec up the Navigator 5 as well, or the Navigator 6 as is soon coming out, that fits, I think, in that slot there where you can see the big plastic 6. The sat nav on here, of course, you've got integration with the whiz wheel, which makes all the difference. Really glad to see that the cruise control, of course, on BMW is on the left, which makes sense when you're trying to set the throttle. And a beautiful motorway cruiser indeed. Oops, pulling out. This is where the agileness of the bike comes in. Changes direction very easily, even at speed. Okay, let's make our way back, sadly, to the dealer. Let's just take this opportunity to thank the guys at Bahnstormer Maidenhead once again for letting me borrow the bike for review. If you've not been up to Bahnstormers, or if you've not heard of the legendary BMW service, then go along and have a chat. Very friendly bunch of people, super helpful, and loads of new bikes actually to ride now. There's such a rash of new bikes in 2017. We're all sport for choice, we really are. Okay, so there we have it. That's my first impressions review of the K1600GT SE. And as I said, I've really just scratched the surface. There is so much technology on this bike to explore. It really is an amazing bit of engineering. To summarise, it's super comfortable, it's super powerful, it's stable, it's turbine smooth on that engine. The gearbox is beautiful. much more agile than you would expect it to be. The mirrors work a treat. It's not too high, doesn't feel top heavy, and I also think as a tourer it looks rather nice. The big question of course is, would I have this over an RT? And that's a very interesting question. I really love the RT, and I'm not too sure really what you gain on this other than that turbine smooth engine, which is nice, but the downside is that much more weight. You know, this is I think something like 70 plus kilograms heavier than the RT, and that to me as a small chap might be the deal breaker and mean that I go for the RT. Although I do prefer the looks of this, and I do prefer the way in which the engine delivers its grunt. So I guess you'd have to ride them both if you're in the market and make your own decision. For me, I think I'd probably go RT, and also you save a few quid. But there's no doubt this bike is beautiful and well worth the ride. If you're riding all the time with a pillion and you're a bigger person, can handle the weight, then I think your pillion's going to have a fantastic time on the back of this, particularly if you get the GTL, the luxury version that has the big top box with the backrest. Anyway, I'm almost back to Maidenhead and Bahnstormers. That's it for this review. Look forward to speaking to you next time. Until then, this has been the Mist and Fly. Cheerio.